Welcome back to the homestead.
What are we doing today?
We are canning chili.
Not just chili, we're canning leftovers. Did you know that you can can leftovers?
No.
You knew it.
No,
Yes,
I did.
I've already canned a couple jars of chicken breast. I've already canned 6 quarts of homemade soup. We're fixing to can probably about 6 quarts of chili. This is all leftovers from last week's snowstorm, and we don't want them to go to waste. Everybody's pretty sick of chili and soup by now. I know I am, so we're going to can it. And then next go around, if we get another little snowstorm or cold spell, we'll have it right there on the shelf for us. I thought we'd throw up the camera real fast. It didn't occur to me that maybe some people didn't know that you can or preserve your leftovers for your pantry. Don't throw anything away. If you're not going to freeze it, you can put it in jars, pressure can it for whatever your longest ingredient is, such as this soup. I don't know if I should move it yet or not. I'm going to move it. I'm going to break a rule. You're not supposed to move them. But this is a vegetable beef soup. So because I used beef, which is a meat, I canned this for 90 minutes at 10 pounds pressure. The 10 pounds is for our elevation where we are right now. Same with the chicken. The chicken was a raw pack, so I just canned it for 90 minutes. If that soup had been just vegetable soup, I probably would have canned it for the time for the corn to process instead of meat. Now with the chili, since it has ground beef in it, we're going to process that also for 90 minutes for quarts. If it were pints, I would process it for 75 minutes, but these are all quarts today. All right?
Yep.
We're going to make it real quick. It's not going to be a long video at all, and I'm going to show you how we do it. All right. Okay, now, so I have a little bit of a technique when it comes to filling these jars to make sure that there's enough liquid and everything's even. There's no set rule to it. It's not a, government guideline type thing. It's just something that I do. But I have a jar. This is clean, believe it or not. It's just had this ladle in it. But what I do is I rake the bottom to get as much of the solids as I can. I hope you can see it okay. I'll do this a few times until I get about halfway. Now, because this chili is a leftover batch, there's not as much in the way of solids as there would normally be with the fresh pot of chili. But anytime you can chili or soup or anything that you have a broth or a liquid with, this is a good idea to help keep it even and also to help it in processing, so it's not too packed down or too solid and not enough liquid. All right, so I went about halfway, and now I'm going to take the ladle and I'm going to set it in the top, and I'm just going to get as much liquid as I can. And you're still going to get a few beans and things, but not near as much of the solids. And I'm going to fill it the rest of the way. So basically it's half solids, half liquid, no exact measurements, no exact, science or anything to it. It's just to make the jars more even. Helps it with the processing so that it's not too dense. Easy peasy. It's just a little guideline that I use for myself. Okay. So here we are. And it's mixed in, but whenever I did it, I measured about half, as much of the solids I could scrape, and then the upper half is your juice for the chili or broth for your soup or whatever you've got going on. Okay, I'm going to finish filling these jars, and then we're going to put them in the canner, and I'll let you know what's up next. Okay, so we had about 5.5 quarts. And anytime you're running just a little bit short, you do have a couple options. First of all, you could just throw it a little bit in the fridge, like if you have a pint left, which is what I ended up having today. I had a pint or a half quart left over. You can just throw it in the fridge, eat it later. You can freeze it. You can add water to it, but that will dilute it down. What I did is I threw a couple bouillon cubes of beef, mixed it with water, and mixed it in with this chili. And I'm just going to stir it up to make sure it's all incorporated. This chili will be a little bit looser than the rest of it because, we're having to compromise here. But I didn't want to freeze it, and I didn't want to put it in a little pint, and this will still be fine. Be great. Use it for chili dogs or whatever. Okay, now that you have all of your jars full, you want to make sure that your lids or your rings to your jars are clean. Before I do that though, I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar into my pot. This has 3 quarts of water in it. I do that to keep my jars clean. Have a nice, damp, clean rag. Nothing dirty. Make sure it's clean. And wipe your rims with your rag with the vinegar because we're working with meat. This has oil in it, grease in it. You know, having hamburger in your chili. You want to make sure it's good and clean. This gives you another opportunity to check one last time for any chips along the edges as well. Some of this dried chili, I'm going to give it a good rub. Make sure I get it all off. Can you see there? So we're going to move over a little bit. Chili is messy, but worth having. You come in from outside and you need something quick and warm, especially this time of year. There you go. Okay, now that you've got them all wiped off and they're clean. Oh, here's my clean. These are clean, new lids. I don't warm them up in advance. Now they say you don't have to anymore. And then you're just going to take your rings. And you don't got to wrench it on, just finger tight. Okay, we're going to get this done. We're going to get them loaded in the canner. Okay, now I have 6 jars in here. Normally I would want to run a full batch because if you're going to take the time to use your canner, I would throw in a jar of water. You know, doesn't hurt to have water canned up just in case. Or anything that's meat-based, something similar, I would put in there. But because this is chili and I put the water in here, chances are it's going to get a little grimy on the outside of the jar. And if by chance there's any siphoning, some of the liquid from the chili could mix in. Not a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave this at 6 quarts this time. I'm not going to worry about adding anything else to it because I really don't have anything to throw in. If I did, I would, but I don't. So I have 3 quarts of warm water, nothing hot. This isn't even warming up yet because the chili was just a little over room temperature. I warmed it up before we began this whole process, took a trip to town, came back, it's ready to go. So we're going to get our lid. This canner has to have a lubricant. I've already used it today, so I don't need to add any more lubricant, but if this is fresh and clean or have never been used before, make sure that you put some sort of an oil, petroleum jelly, whatever down so that it doesn't get stuck. That would be a major bummer. Alright, we're going to wrench down our lid. You want to keep it as even as you can. And I feel it. Feels pretty good to me. So I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to put my stove on about an 8. And until I get some steam coming out of this nozzle here. Or exhaust pipe or whatever you want to call it. I call it something different with every video. Oh look, I just noticed my thing's off. And once this starts steaming, we're going to let it vent for 10 minutes. Okay. Can you see the steam? Should be able to hear it for sure, but I'm not sure if you can see it. It's been 10 minutes. I have this gauge here that comes with the canner, and I'm going to put it on 10 pounds of pressure. I want to switch my hands around. Alright, 10 pounds of pressure according to this gauge over here. My oven mitt's dirty. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down just a little bit because I got her cranked up. But once it hits pressure, I'm going to slowly reduce the stove down to about a 4 for my stove, which is medium-ish heat. So we'll see how long it takes. It usually doesn't take very long. And then we'll set our timer. Pressure's building up. There's the 10. I usually go just a little bit above that just in case. Once it hits that, or hits the 11-pound mark, I kind of keep it there. This will jiggle every once in a while. You can see it's just a little above. This is getting ready to start to fit. There she goes. I'm going to turn her down a little bit. And we're going to set our timer for 90 minutes. Now I did hear a noise. And it may have been nothing, but I'm going to watch and see if anything comes out of here when it starts spitting. I'm hoping I didn't just bust a jar. But I definitely heard some sort of noise. And that happens. And if it does happen, I will show you. Alright. 90 minutes. 90 minutes has been up for a while. I allowed the pressure to go all the way to 0. It's probably been another 20, 25 minutes or so. And I kind of wiggled and there's a little bit of a sound. Tested my jiggler. Should be ready to pull. I think it's done. We'll find out, won't we? Alright. There you go. No hissing. So that's good. So now I'm going to loosen them up if I can. Sometimes they're stuck good. And when they're that hot, okay. I had to use my oven mitt. Same way you loaded them up, just go opposite. It's pretty hot. Now, that would be Mr. Walton. I'm not going to take this off all the way. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to set it. See the steam coming out? And this gives it a chance. Trying to see if any jars got busted. This gives it a chance to cool off slowly and to reduce the risk of siphoning because you don't want siphoning. So we're going to wait until all of this steam clears. Give it a few minutes. Could take 5-10 minutes, depends. And then we'll get ready to see if the jars are ready to come out. Okay, let's check it out. My poor oven mitt is filthy from canning today. Hopefully we don't have any siphoning. And I did peek, and I don't know what I heard, but it wasn't a busted jar. Unless I lift and it's busted at the bottom where I can't see, but it looks like everything's okay. I haven't had a busted jar in a long time, but they do happen. Here we go. Ta-da! Looks good. Let's head on over here to the towel. So far, so good. I know I heard a pop. I just don't know what it was. You can kind of see it bubbling a little bit. Move nice and slow. Set your jars on a warm towel, and I'll show you the jars here in a minute. And it's good to cover them with the towel until they cool too. You want it to go down nice and slow. Don't move them for at least 12 hours. At least. My water is pretty good. There's just a little bit of color, but not bad at all. So it's great. Yay. Happy, happy. Now you can tell this is the one that's got the broth in it. Still totally usable. Just something different. If all else fails, you can always strain excess broth off if you don't like it like that. But I would rather use that or the bouillon cubes, doink, before I just put water in it. I wouldn't want to do that. There they go. They're all good. So I don't know what I heard. I'm glad I was wrong. I'll show you what my water looks like. But just a little bit, not bad at all. A little bit of fat. Alrighty. As you can see, pretty productive. See, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 jars of food that would technically just be considered leftover that a lot of people would just toss instead of, you know, keeping and preserving. And this will all be shelf stable. You can still see some of the jars over here bubbling. I like to take my towels. These towels are a little stained up from canning today. Oh, did you hear that glorious music of the ping? Ping! I like to cover them up like this. And then in the morning, I'll uncover them, take my rings off, wash them all down, wipe them nice and clean, and then label your lids with your contents and the date. And that way, you know where to keep it in circulation because you want your older foods up front, and then this will go towards the back of the pantry until we need it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, we have a little bit of news. It's kind of exciting for us, right? We had friends encourage us to go get a P.O. box. So we got a P.O. box, right?
We got a P.O. box.
And Miss Petunia put the address in the description for our channel. And we're working on stickers right now. We just don't have them yet, but we are working on them. But our very first piece of mail or a gift from a friend we wanted to share.
It was a Christmas gift for Mom.
Yes, it was a late gift, but look how cute. Look how cool. We got this from our friends at Mickelson Family Homestead. And complete with a sticker and a neat little note. I was so excited the day I got that. I thought that was so cool. I'm going to bring this up so you can see them. There it is. Oh, let me make this closer. Look how neat. I love it. And we just started getting eggs like last week, and this week we've been getting them consistently. I'll finally get to use it. So if you don't follow them on YouTube, you ought to go check them out. They've got a lot of really great content, especially with auctions and goats, and I've learned quite a bit off of them already, and they have a sweet family. Alrighty, you want to send us off?
Yep.
Okay.
Psalms 34, verse 8. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him.
Do what you can right where you are. Bye.